In the heart of Washington, D.C., a bold plan was quietly set in motion, one that would send shockwaves through the global aviation industry. The United States, determined to maintain its technological edge, decided to restrict China's access to advanced American jet engines, a move designed to halt the progress of China's ambitious C919 passenger jet project. The goal was clear: without these critical engines, the C919 would be grounded, unable to compete with Western giants. The logic seemed unassailable: no engine, no flight. The C919, a symbol of China's rising aerospace ambitions, would be left stranded on the tarmac. This strategy was meant to preserve the dominance of Boeing and Airbus, the twin titans of commercial aviation, and to keep China firmly in the role of customer, not competitor. But history, as it often does, refused to follow the script written in Washington's corridors of power. Instead of stalling China's progress, the sanctions ignited a surge of innovation and determination across the country. Chinese engineers, faced with a daunting challenge, responded with creativity and resolve. COMAC's Shanghai facilities became a hive of activity as teams worked around the clock, transforming what could have been a crippling crisis into a rallying point for national pride and technological advancement. China didn't just look for a temporary workaround, it embarked on a sweeping transformation of its entire industrial base, investing heavily in research, development, and advanced manufacturing. In a remarkably short time, the world was stunned to learn that China had developed its own high-bypass turbofan engine, an achievement that many experts had predicted would take decades. The very technology the US tried to withhold was not only recreated, but in some aspects, even improved upon. Chinese engineers pushed the boundaries, integrating new materials and design philosophies. The sanctions, intended to cage China's ambitions, instead became the catalyst that taught it to soar higher than ever before. The world watched in disbelief as this strategic move backfired on an epic scale, reshaping the balance of power in the skies. December 7, 2025 will be remembered as a turning point in aviation history. The day the C919, once dependent on foreign technology, emerged as a true global competitor, ready to challenge the status quo. The old narrative of dependency has been rewritten. China's journey from reliance to self-reliance is now a story of resilience, ingenuity, and national achievement. The competitive dynamics of the aviation industry have been fundamentally altered, setting the stage for new rivalries and alliances that will shape the skies for decades to come. The world is watching as a once-grounded giant takes flight, this time on its own terms, with its own technology, and with a new sense of purpose. The age of unquestioned Western aviation dominance is no longer assured. A new chapter in global aviation has begun, and its outcome is anyone's guess. The story of the engine ban begins with a surge of anxiety in Washington, as US officials watched China's technological ambitions accelerate at an unprecedented pace. The rapid progress was not just a matter of economics. It was seen as a challenge to America's long-standing dominance in high-tech industries. Central to this anxiety was the Made in China 2025 initiative, a sweeping government plan that put advanced manufacturing, especially aviation, at the heart of China's future. The C919 passenger jet quickly emerged as a symbol of this ambition, representing China's determination to compete with the world's best. For decades, the skies were ruled by just two giants, Boeing and Airbus. Their comfortable duopoly was built on decades of Western innovation, engineering, and a tightly controlled supply chain that kept competitors at bay. But the C919's dependence on Western engines, especially the state-of-the-art LEAP engine, was a glaring vulnerability. It gave the US and its allies a powerful lever, one that could be used to slow or even halt China's progress in commercial aviation. As tensions between the two superpowers escalated, US policymakers faced a critical question. Should they continue to allow China access to cutting-edge technology, or should they draw a line to protect their own strategic advantage? Fears of intellectual property theft and the potential for military applications of civilian technology tipped the debate. Security experts warned that advanced engines could be reverse-engineered or adapted for military use, raising the stakes even higher. The US government's goal became clear: protect the American aerospace sector, safeguard national security, and slow China's technological momentum, even if it meant disrupting global supply chains. In response, the US imposed strict export controls, blocking the shipment of advanced jet engines and critical components to China's COMAC, the maker of the C919. These measures were designed to choke off the flow of technology at its source. The expectation in Washington was straightforward. Without access to the LEAP engine, the C919 project would grind to a halt, leaving China's aviation dreams grounded. US leaders hoped these restrictions would force China back to the negotiating table, reinforcing American supremacy in aerospace and technology. But this move was a calculated risk. Many underestimated the depth of China's resolve and its capacity to innovate under pressure. Instead of backing down, Chinese engineers and policymakers doubled down on their efforts. Around the world, observers soon realized that technological barriers, rather than stopping progress, can sometimes act as powerful catalysts for innovation and self-reliance. The C919's journey was far from over. In fact, the engine ban marked just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with unexpected twists and remarkable determination. The consequences of the engine ban would ripple far beyond what anyone in Washington had imagined, setting the stage for a global contest that was only just beginning. The U.S. engine ban hit COMAC like a shockwave, sending ripples of uncertainty through China's entire aviation industry. For years, the dream of a homegrown passenger jet had depended on foreign technology, and suddenly, that lifeline was gone. But despair quickly turned to determination. Instead of defeat, a new sense of purpose swept through the factories and design labs. Engineers, technicians, and workers alike felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Beijing's message was clear: China would build its own engine, ending an era of reliance on Western suppliers. This was more than a technical challenge. It was a matter of national pride and strategic independence. The Aero Engine Corporation of China, or AECC, was formed almost overnight, uniting the nation's top minds and resources under one roof. The mission was urgent, the stakes higher than ever. Billions were invested, not just to copy what others had done, but to leap forward, to innovate, to create something uniquely Chinese. Every yuan spent was a vote of confidence in the nation's future. COMAC's engineers worked around the clock, fueled by a sense of mission. They weren't just swapping out an engine, they were reimagining the C919 from the ground up, adapting every system for a new, homegrown power plant. Integrating a new engine meant rethinking aerodynamics, weight distribution, and onboard systems. Every bolt, every wire, every calculation had to be reconsidered. It was a monumental task, with no room for error. Collaboration between COMAC and AECC became relentless. Teams shared real-time data, held daily problem-solving sessions, and pushed each other to find solutions faster than ever before. Bureaucratic obstacles that once slowed progress seemed to vanish overnight. Timelines shrank as government agencies cleared the way, and project managers raced to keep up with the new pace. The C919 project became a national rallying point, a technological people's war. Workers, engineers, and officials all pulled together, united by a common goal. While outsiders saw a program in crisis, China saw a rare opportunity, a chance to achieve true technological sovereignty and prove its capabilities to the world. The engine ban, meant as a barrier, became the starting gun for China's most ambitious industrial race. Every setback was met with renewed resolve. COMAC wasn't just building a plane, it was forging a new future for Chinese aviation, one where the nation would never again be held back by foreign restrictions. The world would soon see the results, a new chapter in aviation history, written in steel, sweat, and unbreakable resolve. The breakthrough came faster than anyone expected. AECC quietly announced the CJ1000A engine had passed final tests. Its specs rivaled the LEAP-1C advanced materials, high efficiency, and low noise. This wasn't a crude copy, it was a modern competitive turbofan. The speed of development stunned the global aerospace community. The C919 was now free from geopolitical constraints, with a choice of engines for customers. China could finally market the C919 as a truly sovereign product. The CJ1000A became a symbol of China's defiance and innovation. The assumption that only the West could master jet engines was shattered. The Dragon had built its own fiery breath. The CJ1000A's debut has redrawn the global aviation map. For decades, Boeing and Airbus set the rules. Now, a new center of gravity is forming in the East. The old duopoly faces a credible third rival. China's mastery of jet engines will ripple across its economy, spurring further innovation. Nations once dependent on Western planes now have a real alternative. The C919, bundled with infrastructure deals, becomes a tool of economic diplomacy. China's growing fleet will give it a stronger voice in setting global aviation standards. The era of a single Western-led system is ending. A more complex, competitive world is taking flight. The global aviation industry's response is a mix of public calm and private alarm. Boeing and Airbus issue diplomatic statements, but behind the scenes they're worried. The C919, once dismissed, is now a serious competitor with engine independence. Airlines see opportunity. A third supplier means more leverage and better deals. For Chinese and allied carriers, the C919 is a natural fit. Even outside China, airlines are watching closely. Some experts remain skeptical, citing COMAC's lack of global support networks and safety record. Others warn against underestimating China's speed and ambition, pointing to its rapid rise in other high-tech sectors. With state backing, COMAC could overcome hurdles faster than expected. The industry knows. Ignoring the C919 and CJ1000A is a risk they can't afford. The competitive landscape has changed for good. China's engine breakthrough has forced Washington to rethink its strategy. The policy of containment backfired, accelerating China's progress. Now the debate is how to compete with a technological peer. Some urge tighter restrictions on other critical tech, but risk further decoupling and alienating allies. Others call for massive investment in next-gen aviation and closer cooperation with Europe. A hybrid approach, targeted controls plus renewed competition, may be the answer. The challenge: adapt quickly, or risk falling behind in a rapidly changing world. The C919, now free from engine dependency, is poised for global impact. COMAC will first dominate China's vast domestic market, building scale and experience. Next, it will expand into Belt and Road countries, offering not just planes, but strategic partnerships. Regional support centers will follow, growing COMAC's global footprint. The ultimate test: certification by US and European regulators. Even if delayed, the non-Western market is huge. Over the next decade, the C919 will become a common sight worldwide. Its success will reshape market dynamics, forcing Boeing and Airbus to innovate and compete harder. The C919's rise proves that high-value manufacturing can happen anywhere. The long march to global leadership has begun. A new era in aviation has dawned. The Boeing-Airbus duopoly is giving way to a more competitive multipolar landscape. The C919's rise marks the end of undisputed Western supremacy in the skies. Competition will now be fiercer, with aircraft sales tied to geopolitics and alliances. Distinct technological blocks may emerge, fragmenting the global aviation network. For airlines and passengers, more competition means more innovation and lower prices. The industry will be pushed to develop greener, smarter aircraft faster. The C919 story is a lesson in unintended consequences. A policy meant to ground a rival gave it wings. The skies are no longer a two-horse race. A new contender has arrived as a peer. The triopoly era is here, and the world is watching to see who will lead the next century of flight.